The alarm on Commander Vex's desk buzzed for the third time that morning. His green scales turned darker as he read the message on his screen. Another complaint about the human ship. The same human ship. Iron Will. Cargo vessel registration 7749H, he read aloud. His voice was low and angry. Third formal complaint in 2 months. Vex's assistant, a thin blue alien named Nyx, walked into the office. She carried a data pad in her forearms. Sir, the Galactic Trade Council wants a full report. They're getting tired of these humans. So am I, Vex said. He stood up from his chair and walked to the large window. Outside, he could see the busy docks of Kepler Station. Ships from 100 different worlds came and went every day. Most followed the rules. Most were safe and boring. Then there were the humans. What happened this time? Vex asked. Nyx looked at her datapad. The Iron Will arrived 3 hours ago. Hull damage on the port side. Emergency life support running, and... She paused. And what? Sir, they appear to have weapons. Weapons that weren't there when they left. Vex turned around quickly. They built weapons during their cargo run? That's what the dock sensors show. Laser cannons mounted on their cargo arms. Some kind of missile system using their loading tubes. Vex felt his head start to hurt. This was exactly the kind of thing that got human ships banned from civilized space. Where's their captain now? Docking Bay 7. He's unloading cargo like nothing happened. Of course he is. Vex picked up his communication device. This is Commander Vex to Docking Bay 7. I want Captain Martinez in my office now. 20 minutes later, Captain Jake Martinez walked into Vex's office. He was a tall human with dark hair and calm eyes. His uniform was dirty and had burn marks on it. He looked tired but not worried. Commander? Jake said with a smile. Nice to see you again. Sit down, Martinez. Vex pointed to a chair. We need to talk. Jake sat down and looked around the office. New pictures of your family. That's nice. How are the kids? Don't try to be friendly, Vex said. You're in serious trouble again. What did we do wrong this time? Jake asked. He sounded genuinely confused. Vex picked up the complaint forms from his desk. Let's see. Unauthorized weapons installation. Hull modifications without permits. Use of emergency frequencies for non-emergency communication. Operating with damaged life support systems. He looked up at Jake. Should I continue? Well, Jake said slowly. I guess it sounds bad when you put it like that. It sounds bad because it is bad. Vex's scales turned almost black. These are serious violations, Martinez. The kind that get trading licenses revoked. Jake leaned forward in his chair. Can I explain what actually happened? Please do. Vex sat back and crossed his arms. We were carrying mining equipment to the outer rim. Standard cargo run. Everything was going fine until we hit the Vega system. Go on. Pirates, Jake said simply. 3 ships, fast attack craft. They came out of nowhere. Vex frowned. There haven't been pirate reports in the Vega system for months. Well, there are now, Jake said. They disabled our main engines on the first pass. Knocked out our communications, too. We were sitting ducks. So what did you do? Jake smiled. We adapted. You adapted? My engineer, Lucy, she figured out how to reroute power from the cargo bay to the engines. Got us moving again, but barely. Then my gunner, Rick, he had this crazy idea about the loading arms. Vex felt his headache getting worse. What kind of idea? The pirates were small and fast, right? Hard to hit with normal weapons. But cargo loading arms? They're designed to grab big, heavy things. Rick figured if we could mount some mining lasers on them. You turned your cargo equipment into weapons. Pretty much, yeah. And the missile thing? That was just loading tubes shooting mining charges. Not very accurate, but loud enough to scare them off. Vex stared at Jake for a long moment. And the hull damage? One of them got a lucky shot before we scared them away. Nothing serious. Emergency patches held fine. Emergency patches, Vex repeated. On life support systems. Lucy knows what she's doing, Jake said. We never lost pressure. Air recycling worked the whole time. Vex stood up and walked to his window again. Below, he could see Jake's ship. The Iron Will looked like it had been through a war. Burn marks covered the hull. Strange metal patches were welded over holes. The cargo arms had clearly been modified with weapon mounts, but it was still flying, still working, still carrying cargo. Martinez, Vex said without turning around, do you understand why we have safety regulations? To keep people safe, Jake said. That's right, to keep people safe. These rules exist because space is dangerous. Equipment fails, people make mistakes. The regulations help prevent disasters. I understand that, Jake said. But what happens when following the rules gets you killed? Vex turned back to face Jake. What do you mean? If we had followed standard procedure, we would have shut down all non-essential systems and waited for help. The pirates would have boarded us, taken our cargo, and probably killed my crew. Jake's voice was calm but serious. Instead, we improvised. We adapted. We survived. You also broke a dozen safety laws. Better than being dead. Vex sat back down at his desk. He picked up his communication device and pressed a button. Nix, get me Inspector Kale at the Trade Council. Tell him it's urgent. Jake raised an eyebrow. Inspector? The Trade Council is sending someone to investigate your ship, Vex said. Inspector Kale specializes in safety violations. He's very thorough. When will he arrive? He's already here. Been waiting for 3 days to inspect human vessels. Vex looked at Jake with something that might have been sympathy. Kale doesn't like it when people break rules, Martinez. Any rules. Jake nodded slowly. I see. The Council is considering new restrictions on human ships, maybe even banning them from certain sectors. Vex's scales were slowly returning to their normal green color. Too many complaints. Too many incidents. And if we lose our trading license? Then you find a new job. Somewhere that doesn't require space travel. Jake stood up. Is that all, Commander? For now. But Martinez? Vex looked up at him. Inspector Kale will be boarding your ship tomorrow morning. I suggest you prepare your crew. We'll be ready, Jake said. He walked to the door, then stopped. Commander? What? Those pirates? They hit 2 other ships in the same system last week, killed 4 people, took everything. Jake's voice was quiet. We stopped them. Not the authorities, not the patrol ships. Us. Vex watched Jake leave his office. Then he turned back to his window and looked at the Iron Will again. The ship was ugly, damaged, and probably violated every safety regulation in the book. But it was still here. Its crew was still alive. And somewhere in the Vega system, 3 pirate ships were running for their lives. Vex pressed his communication button again. Nix? Yes, sir? Send a message to the Trade Council. Tell them Inspector Kale can board the human ship tomorrow. But also tell them. He paused. Tell them I want to be there too. Sir? I want to see this for myself. Outside his window, the Iron Will continued unloading its cargo. Despite everything wrong with it, the ship kept working. Just like its crew. Just like all humans, Vex thought. They never knew when to quit. Inspector Kale stepped onto the Iron Will with his scanner in one hand and a datapad in the other. He was a tall, thin alien with 6 arms and large black eyes. His green uniform was perfectly clean and pressed. Every piece of equipment he carried was regulation standard. The inside of the human ship made him stop walking. What is this? Kyle asked himself. The walls were covered with patches of different metals. Pipes ran in directions that made no sense. Wires were taped to the ceiling with some kind of silver material. Nothing looked like it belonged on a proper spaceship. Captain Jake appeared around a corner. Inspector Kale, welcome aboard. Sorry about the mess. Mess? Kyle looked around again. This is... How do you even fly this ship? Very carefully, Jake said with a smile. Would you like the tour? Kyle opened his datapad and started typing. Yes. I need to see everything. Every system. Every modification, every safety violation. That might take a while, Jake said. They walked down the main corridor. Kale's scanner beeped constantly. Every wall panel showed something wrong. Missing screws, non-standard materials, electrical systems that didn't match any known design. Here's the engine room, Jake said, opening a heavy door. Kale stepped inside and immediately wished he hadn't. The engine room looked like a disaster area. Parts from different ship types were welded together. Control panels had been moved to strange places. Half the warning lights were covered with tape. A woman with short red hair looked up from a control console. She had grease on her face and her clothes were dirty. "Inspector, this is Lucy, our engineer," Jake said. "Ma'am," Kale said politely. Then he looked at his scanner. The readings made no sense. "What have you done to these engines?" Lucy wiped her hands on a cloth. "Which part?" "All of it." Kale pointed at the main drive unit. "This is a Class 7 engine, but it has Class 5 power, couplings, and are those Class 9 cooling systems?" "Good eye," Lucy said. "We had to replace the original couplings after the Centauri run. Pirates damaged them with some kind of energy weapon. Couldn't find Class 7 replacements, so I used what we had." Kale typed quickly on his datapad. "That's a major safety violation. Different classes aren't compatible." "Tell that to my engines," Lucy said. "They've been running fine for 6 months." Kyle checked his scanner again. The power output was actually higher than normal. The efficiency ratings were better than standard. "This is impossible." "Want to see the navigation room?" Jake asked. They climbed up a ladder to the next level. The navigation room was even worse. The main control console had been completely rebuilt. Screens were mounted at odd angles. The star charts looked like they had been drawn by hand. A young man with dark hair sat at the pilot station. He was playing some kind of music while he worked. "Tom, our pilot," Jake said. "Tom, this is Inspector Kale." Tom turned around and smiled. "Hey there. How do you like our ship?" Kale didn't answer. He was staring at the navigation computer. "What is this system?" "Oh, that's my baby," Tom said proudly. "Standard navigation computers are too slow. They can only calculate one route at a time. Mine can run 50 different calculations at once." "That's not how navigation computers work," Kale said. "It is now." Tom turned back to his console. "Watch this." He typed something, and the screens filled with numbers and star charts. Different routes appeared and disappeared in seconds. The computer was calculating hyperspace jumps, asteroid field paths, and emergency routes all at the same time. "Impressive, right?" Tom said. "Saved our lives more times than I can count." Kale's scanner was beeping so fast it sounded like an alarm. "This is completely against regulations. Navigation computers must have safety locks, backup systems, automatic shutoffs." "Had all that stuff," Tom said. "Removed it. Just slowed everything down. The safety systems exist to prevent disasters. And they also prevent quick thinking," Tom replied. "When you're being chased by pirates, you don't have time for safety checks." Jake led Kale to the next room. Weapons and cargo control. A large man with a beard looked up from a control panel. The room was filled with screens showing the outside of the ship. What Kale saw made him drop his datapad. "Those are mining lasers," Kale said slowly. "Yep," the man said. "I'm Rick, by the way. You've mounted mining equipment on cargo handling arms. Had to. We don't have a weapons license, so we can't carry military lasers. But mining equipment? That's just cargo." Rick grinned. "Smart, right?" Kale picked up his datapad with shaking hands. "This is the most dangerous thing I've ever seen. Cargo arms aren't designed for weapon mounting. The stress could tear your ship apart." "Hasn't happened yet," Rick said, "and it worked pretty well against those pirates. You could have killed yourselves. Maybe. But we didn't kill ourselves. We killed the pirates' engines and scared them away." Rick turned back to his controls. "Sometimes dangerous is better than dead." Jake showed Kale the rest of the ship. Every room had modifications, The medical bay used kitchen equipment for some procedures. The sleeping quarters had extra life support systems built from spare parts. Even the bathrooms had been changed to save water and power. After 2 hours, Kyle sat down in the ship's small meeting room. His datapad was full of violations. His scanner had recorded hundreds of safety problems. By all the rules he knew, this ship should not be able to fly. But it did fly. And according to the records, it had never missed a delivery. Never lost cargo, never lost crew members. Captain Martinez, Kyle said slowly. I need to ask you something. Sure. How many times has this ship almost been destroyed? Jake thought, for a moment. This year? Maybe 20 times. Last year was worse. 20 times? Space is dangerous, Inspector. Equipment fails. Pirates attack. Asteroid storms happen. Solar flares can kill you. If you follow all the safety rules, you spend most of your time hiding in safe systems. That's the point of safety rules. Maybe for some people. Jake sat down across from Cale. But we're cargo runners. We go to dangerous places because that's where people need supplies. Outer rim colonies, mining stations, research outposts. These places can't wait for safe deliveries. Cale looked at his datapad again. Page after page of violations. Inspector, Jake continued. Can I show you something? Jake pulled out his own datapad and showed Cale a list of deliveries. Medical supplies to Frontier Station during the plague outbreak. Emergency food to the Gamma 7 mining colony when their supply ship was destroyed. Replacement parts for the research station studying dangerous solar activity. What's your point? My point is that every one of these deliveries was dangerous. Other cargo ships wouldn't take the jobs. Too risky, they said. Against regulations. Jake put away his datapad. But people would have died without those supplies. Cale was quiet for a long time. Finally, he asked, Inspector, what happens if you report all these violations? The Trade Council will revoke your license. You'll be banned from carrying cargo. And the next time Frontier Station needs emergency medical supplies? Kyle didn't answer. The next time pirates attack a slow, regulation-standard cargo ship in the outer systems. Still no answer. Jake stood up. Inspector, I have a suggestion. What? Stay with us for our next cargo run. See how we actually work. Then decide if we're really dangerous. Cale looked around the strange, modified ship. Every instinct told him to write his report and recommend immediate shutdown. These humans were reckless, they broke every rule. But they were also alive, and effective, and brave. Where are you going next? Kyle asked. Gamma 7 mining colony, routine supply run. Cale closed his datapad. How routine? Jake smiled. With us? Nothing's ever routine. Against his better judgment, Inspector Cale decided to find out what that meant. The journey to Gamma 7 mining colony started peacefully. Inspector Cale sat in the observation deck watching the stars move past. The Iron Will was flying with a military escort ship called the Star Guardian. Everything seemed normal. See? Captain Jake said, sitting down next to Cale. Sometimes we have boring trips too. Cale was writing notes on his datapad. Your ship is maintaining proper distance from the escort. Following standard flight patterns, I'm almost impressed. Don't get too comfortable, Tom's voice came over the speaker system. We're entering the debris field around Gamma 7, through. The window, Cale could see chunks of metal and rock floating in space. Old mining equipment, broken asteroids, and pieces of destroyed ships created a dangerous maze around the mining colony. This area is known for equipment problems, Jake explained. Something about electromagnetic interference from the planet's core. Ships break down here all the time. As if Jake had predicted it, warning lights started flashing on the bridge. Tom's voice came over the speakers again, but this time he sounded worried. Captain, we're getting a distress signal from the Star Guardian. Jake jumped up. What kind of distress? Engine failure. Complete power loss. They're drifting into the debris field. Cale followed Jake to the bridge. On the main screen, they could see the military escort ship. It was dark and silent, slowly, spinning as it drifted toward a large chunk of twisted metal. How many people on board? Jake asked. 37, Tom replied. Full crew and some passengers. Rick looked up from his weapons console. Captain, we should call for help. There's a rescue station 6 hours away. 6 hours? Jake shook his head. They'll hit that debris in 2 hours, maybe less. Cale stepped forward. Captain, standard protocol says we should maintain safe distance and wait for proper rescue ships. We're a cargo vessel, not a rescue ship. Jake looked at the screen again. The Star Guardian was getting closer to the debris. Inspector, how long do you think their emergency life support will last? In a ship that size? Maybe 4 hours if they're lucky. And rescue is 6 hours away. Cale realized what Jake was thinking. No, Captain, no. You cannot attempt a rescue with a cargo ship. It's against every regulation in the book. Lucy, Jake called over the speaker. How are our engines? Running smooth, Captain, all systems green. Tom, can you plot a course through that debris field? Already working on it, Tom replied. It's going to be tight, but I think I can get us close. Rick, what do we have for rescue equipment? Standard emergency gear. But Captain... Rick paused. I've been looking at the Star Guardian. Their engines didn't just fail, something exploded, big hole in their engine section. Kyle felt his stomach drop. Explosion damage? That ship could break apart any moment. More reason to hurry, Jake said. He pressed a button on his chair. All hands, this is the captain. We're going to attempt a rescue of the Star Guardian. I know this isn't what we signed up for, but 37 people are going to die if we don't try. Lucy's voice came over the speaker. What do you need, Captain? Can you extend our shields around both ships? Not normally, no. But if we reroute power from the cargo bay and use some of the mining equipment... Lucy was quiet for a moment. Yeah, I think I can do it. Give me 10 minutes. Tom spoke up. Captain, I'll need manual control to get through this debris field. The autopilot won't be fast enough. Do it. Inspector Cale watched in amazement as the human crew went to work. This wasn't standard procedure. This wasn't safe. This was completely insane, and it was the most impressive thing he had ever seen. Lucy appeared on the bridge 5 minutes later. She was covered in grease and sweat. Power rerouting is done. I've connected our shield generators to 3 pieces of mining equipment. It should give us enough power to protect both ships. Should? Cale asked. Will, Lucy corrected. It will work. Tom was flying the ship manually now. His hands moved over the controls like he was playing music. The iron wheel twisted and turned through the debris field, avoiding chunks of metal by just a few meters. There, Rick pointed at the screen. I can see the Star Guardian. The military ship looked bad. One whole section was torn open. Pieces of metal were floating around it. It was spinning slowly, getting closer to a massive piece of debris that looked like an old space station. Tom, get us alongside them, Jake ordered. Working on it, Captain. The iron will moved closer to the damaged ship. Cale could see people inside through the windows. They were waving frantically. Lucy, activate the extended shields. Shields up. A blue glow surrounded both ships. The mining equipment that Lucy had connected to the shield system was making strange noises, but it was working. Rick, we need to get those people off their ship. What can we use? Rick looked at his controls. Captain, we have mining equipment in the cargo bay. Cutting tools, magnetic grapplers, construction drones. Construction drones? For building mining platforms. They're designed to work in space and carry heavy loads. Jake smiled. Can they carry people? Not designed for it, but... Rick thought for a moment. Yeah, I can modify them. Give me 5 minutes. While Rick worked on the drones, Tom kept the ship steady next to the Star Guardian. The debris field was still dangerous, and both ships were surrounded by floating metal. Lucy, Jake called. How are those shields holding? So far, so good. But Captain, we can't stay here long. The mining equipment isn't designed for this kind of power load. It's getting hot. Inspector Cale watched the crew work together. Each person knew exactly what to do. They didn't argue or ask for permission, they just solved problems. Drones are ready, Rick announced. I've got 6 construction drones modified for people transport. They can make 3 trips and get everyone off that ship. Do it. The next 30 minutes were the longest in Kyle's life. He watched the small drones fly back and forth between the ships. Each drone carried 3 or 4 people from the damaged military ship to the safety of the Iron Will. The extended shields flickered several times. The mining equipment was overheating. Sparks flew from some of the control panels. Last. Group coming aboard, Rick reported. How many? Jake asked. 4 people. That's everyone. Just as the last drone returned, Lucy's voice filled the bridge. Captain, I have to shut down the extended shields. The mining equipment is about to explode. Do it. The blue glow around the ships disappeared. At the same moment, the Star Guardian finally hit the large piece of debris. The military ship broke apart in silence, pieces floating away into the darkness. Inspector Cale stared at the wreckage. If we had been 5 minutes later. But we weren't. Jake said simply. Commander Wells, the captain of the destroyed Star Guardian, came onto the bridge. He was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. His uniform was torn and he looked exhausted. Captain Martinez, he said, I don't know how to thank you. My crew owes you their lives. Just doing our job, Jake replied. This wasn't your job, Commander Wells said. This was impossible. No cargo ship should have been able to pull off that rescue. Inspector Cale looked around the bridge. Tom was still flying them out of the debris field. Lucy was checking the systems that had been overloaded. Rick was helping the rescued crew members find places to sit. Everything they had done violated safety regulations. The shield extension was dangerous. The drone modifications were untested. Flying through the debris field was reckless, and it had saved 37 lives. Captain Martinez, Cale said quietly, I need to revise my report. Jake looked at him. Oh? I'm beginning to understand something, Cale said. You don't break rules because you want to. You break them because sometimes the rules aren't good enough. Commander Wells nodded. Inspector, in 20 years of military service, I've never seen anything like what these humans just did. They turned a cargo ship into a rescue vessel using mining equipment and spare parts. Kyle closed his datapad. For the first time in his career, he wasn't sure what to write in his report. Outside the window, the stars looked different somehow. Less orderly, more full of possibilities. Back at Kepler Station, Inspector Cale sat in his small office staring at his computer screen. The rescue mission had ended 2 days ago, but he still couldn't write his report. Every time he started typing, he remembered the faces of the 37 people they had saved. His door chimed. Come in, he called. Commander Vex walked into the office. His green scales looked brighter than usual. Inspector, I heard about what happened at Gamma 7. The whole station is talking about it. Word travels fast, Cale said. Commander Wells made an official report to the military council. He recommended Captain Martinez and his crew for a heroism medal. Vex sat down across from Cale's desk. What are you going to put in your inspection report? Kyle rubbed his eyes with 2 of his 6 hands. I don't know. I've never faced a situation like this before. What do you mean? The Iron Will violates hundreds of safety regulations. By every rule I know, that ship should be grounded immediately. Cale turned his computer screen toward Vex. Look at this list. Unauthorized modifications, dangerous power systems, untested equipment combinations. Vex read the list and whistled. That's a lot of violations. But those same violations saved 37 lives, Cale continued. The extended shields that broke 3 power regulations? That's what protected both ships. The modified drones that don't meet safety standards? They carried people to safety. Vex leaned back in his chair. So what's the problem? The problem is that I don't understand humans, Cale said. They break rules that other species follow without question. They modify equipment in ways that should be impossible. And somehow, it works. Maybe you should talk to other people who have worked with humans. Kyle looked up. That's not a bad idea. The next day, Cale walked through the station's main marketplace. He was looking for traders, pilots, and crew members who had experience with human ships. He found more than he expected. At a small cafe, he sat down with a trader named Fel. Fel was a cautious species known for following rules very carefully. His people never took risks. "You want to know about humans?" Fel asked, stirring his drink. "They're completely insane." "Insane how?" "Last year I was carrying medical supplies to the border colonies. Valuable stuff, but not dangerous, easy job." Fel shook his head. "Then we hit a solar storm, massive one. My ship's electronics started failing." "What did you do?" "Standard procedure. Found shelter behind an asteroid and waited for the storm to pass. But my life support was damaged. I had maybe 6 hours of air left, and the storm was going to last 2 days." Kyle leaned forward. "How did you survive?" "Human cargo ship appeared out of nowhere. The Mountain Runner, I think it was called. Their captain, a woman named Kate, offered to help." "What did she do?" Fel laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "She flew her ship directly into the solar storm. Said her shields could protect both of us if she got close enough. Used kitchen equipment to boost the power." "Kitchen equipment?" "Microwave ovens, food processors, even a coffee maker. Somehow she connected them all to her shield generators. It worked, but—" Fel shuddered. "We could have both been killed." "But you weren't." "No. She saved my life using cooking equipment and spare parts. When I asked her why she risked it, she just said it was the right thing to do." Kyle made notes on his datapad. "Did you report this incident?" "No," Fel admitted. "What would I say? That a human saved my life by breaking every safety rule in the book?" That afternoon, Kyle found another person to interview. Rex was a military officer from a warrior species. His people respected strength and courage above everything else. "Humans are annoying," Rex said, sitting in the station's military bar. "They never follow orders properly." "How so?" "I was commanding a patrol in the Outer Rim, 3 ships including 1 human cargo vessel. The Steel Wind, I think. We got a distress call from a research station under pirate attack." Rex drank from his large cup. "Standard military response is to call for backup and wait for proper support. The research station had good defenses. They could hold out for a few hours." "But the humans didn't wait?" "The human captain, a man named Dave, said the research station had children on board, families of the researchers. He said children couldn't wait for proper military procedure." "What did he do?" Rex's expression changed. Despite his complaints, Kale could see respect in the officer's eyes. "He modified his cargo ship into a fighting vessel in about 20 minutes, turned loading equipment into weapons, used emergency systems to boost his engines. Then he flew straight into the battle. Alone. We had to follow him. Couldn't let a civilian ship fight alone even if he was being stupid." Rex finished his drink. "The pirates had 4 ships. We were outnumbered." "How did the battle go?" "The humans won it for us. Dave's modifications were crude but effective. His ship could do things that military vessels can't do. He flew patterns that would destroy a normal ship, used weapons combinations that shouldn't work." Rex stood up to leave. "We saved the research station. All the children survived. But Inspector—" He paused. "If any of my military pilots tried the things that human did, I would court-martial them immediately. But it worked. That's what makes it so annoying." That evening, Kyle returned to his office with pages of notes. He had talked to 12 different people. Traders, military officers, station workers, even some passengers who had flown on human ships. Every story was the same. Humans breaking rules, humans taking risks, humans doing impossible things, and humans saving lives. Kyle started reading official reports about human vessels. The files went back 5 years when humans first started trading in this part of space. The pattern was clear. Human ships had the highest number of safety violations of any species. They also had the lowest casualty rates. They took the most dangerous jobs and had the best success rates. More importantly, they had saved over 300 lives in rescue operations. Not planned rescues by trained professionals, but emergency situations where humans had improvised solutions. Kyle found a report about a human ship called the River Dance. During a station fire, the crew had used their cargo bay as an emergency hospital. They had treated over 50 injured people using medical supplies meant for another colony. Another report described how the Desert Fox had towed a disabled passenger liner through an asteroid field. The human crew had connected their ship to the larger vessel using mining cables and cargo hooks. Every report ended the same way. The human crews had violated multiple regulations. The human crews had saved lives. Kyle sat back in his chair and thought about his own experiences. Before meeting the crew of the Iron Will, he had believed that rules existed for good reasons, that safety regulations prevented disasters, that following procedures kept people alive. He still believed those things were usually true. But humans had shown him something else. Sometimes the rules weren't enough. Sometimes the procedures failed. Sometimes people needed someone willing to break the rules to save their lives. The next morning, Kale called Commander Vex. "I need to speak with the Trade Council," Kale said. "About your report?" "About humans. I think I understand something important." "What's that?" Kyle looked out his window at the docking bays. He could see several human ships among the more conventional vessels. They looked different from the others. Rougher, more modified, less standard, but they were here. They were working. They were helping. "I understand why other species complain about human ships," Kale said. "It's not because humans are dangerous. No, it's because humans make the rest of us look bad." Vex was quiet for a moment. "How so?" "When faced with impossible situations, most species give up. We follow procedures, wait for help, accept limitations." Kyle closed his datapad. "Humans refuse to give up. They find ways to do things we think are impossible, and that makes us uncomfortable. So what are you going to recommend?" Kyle smiled for the first time in days. "Something that's going to make the Trade Council very uncomfortable." The Galactic Trade Council meeting room was packed. Representatives from 20 different species sat around the large circular table. Inspector Kale stood at the center, holding his datapad with shaking hands. "Inspector Kale," said Council, "Leader Tron, an ancient being with silver skin and wise eyes, you have completed your investigation of human cargo vessels. What is your recommendation?" Kyle looked around the room. He could see anger on many faces. The complaints about human ships had been getting worse every month. Everyone expected him to recommend severe restrictions, maybe even a complete ban. "Council Leader," Kale began, "I recommend that we create a new classification system for human vessels." Murmurs filled the room. Representative Zek, whose species filed the most complaints, stood up. "A new classification? Inspector, these humans are dangerous. They break every safety rule." "Yes," Kyle said calmly. "They do break safety rules, but I've discovered something important about why they do it." "Enlighten us," said Council Leader Tron. Kyle activated his datapad and projected information onto the wall screen. In the past 2 years, human cargo vessels have been involved in 43 emergency rescue operations. They have saved over 400 lives. The room became quiet. Furthermore, Kyle continued, human ships have successfully completed 97% of their cargo deliveries, including runs to dangerous areas that other species refuse to accept. Representative Zek wasn't satisfied. "That doesn't excuse their violations. Rules exist for good reasons." "You're right," Kyle said. "Rules do exist for good reasons. But humans have shown us that sometimes following rules can get people killed." He changed the display to show the Gamma 7 rescue. "During my inspection, I witnessed the crew of the Iron Will save 37 lives using equipment modifications that violated dozens of regulations. If they had followed standard procedure, those people would be dead." Council Leader Tron leaned forward. "What exactly are you proposing, Inspector?" "I propose we classify human vessels as adaptive emergency response ships. They would be held to different standards because they operate differently than conventional cargo vessels." The room erupted in angry voices. Several representatives started shouting at once. "This is ridiculous. We can't have different rules for different species. Humans are just reckless." Council Leader Tron raised his hand for silence. "Inspector, explain this classification in detail." Kale took a deep breath. Human ships would be required to carry emergency rescue equipment. They would be authorized to make equipment modifications during crisis situations. Most importantly, they would be assigned to cargo runs that other ships consider too dangerous. Representative Zek stood up again. You want to reward them for breaking rules? I want to use their abilities properly, Kale replied. Instead of complaining about human adaptability, we should use it to help people. This is insane, muttered another representative. Council Leader Tron was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. Inspector, your proposal is unusual. However, we have been receiving reports about increased pirate activity in the outer sectors. Conventional patrol ships haven't been effective. He looked around the room. Perhaps we should test this idea. Captain Martinez, please step forward. Captain Jake walked to the center of the room. He had been waiting outside during the discussion. Council Leader. Captain, would you be willing to take your ship on anti-piracy patrol in the outer sectors? A trial run to test Inspector Kale's theory? Jake smiled. How long is the trial? 6 months. You would have authority to engage pirates and assist any ships in distress. What about the safety violations? During the trial period, you would be exempt from standard safety regulations. However, you would report directly to Inspector Kyle about your activities. Jake looked at Kale, who nodded. We accept. Representative Zek shook his head. This is a mistake. Mark my words, this will end badly. 6 months later, the same council room was packed again. But this time the mood was different. Instead of anger, there was curiosity and surprise. Inspector Kale stood at the center again, but he wasn't nervous anymore. The data on his screen told an impressive story. Council Leader, Kale began. The human anti-piracy trial has exceeded all expectations. The wall screen showed statistics and star charts. Pirate attacks in the outer sectors have decreased by 70%. The Iron Will and 3 other human ships have captured or disabled 15 pirate vessels. Council Leader Tron looked pleased. Any casualties among the human crews? None, sir. However, they have rescued over 200 people from pirate attacks and ship failures. Representative Zek looked confused. How is that possible? The outer sectors are the most dangerous part of space. Captain Jake stepped forward. Because we don't run away from danger. When other ships see pirates, they call for help and hide. When we see pirates, we stop them. But how? Asked another representative. You're cargo ships, not military vessels. Jake grinned. We adapt. My engineer Lucy has developed new shield configurations that work better against pirate weapons. Tom has created navigation systems that let us outfly smaller, faster ships. Rick has turned our cargo equipment into very effective weapons. Inspector Kale added more information to the display. The success has attracted attention from other species. 12 non-human crews have requested training in human-style problem-solving. What does that mean? Asked Council Leader Tron. Learning. To modify equipment during emergencies. Thinking beyond standard procedures. Taking calculated risks to save lives. A new voice spoke from the back of the room. Commander Wells, the military officer whose crew had been saved at Gamma 7, walked forward. Council Leader, I request permission to speak. Granted. 6 months ago, I thought these humans were crazy, reckless, dangerous. Commander Wells looked at Jake. I was wrong. They're not reckless. They're brave. They don't break rules because they want to. They break rules because saving lives is more important than following procedures. He turned to address the full council. I recommend making the human classification permanent. More than that, I recommend expanding it. Council Leader Tron raised an eyebrow. Expanding it how? Create a mixed species rapid response fleet. Human ships as the core, but with volunteers from other species who want to learn their methods. Representative Zek finally stood up, but his tone was different now. Commander Wells, are you saying that other species should learn to break rules like humans do? I'm saying that other species should learn that sometimes there are more important things than rules. Council Leader Tron called for a vote. All in favor of making the Adaptive Emergency Response classification permanent? 18 hands went up. Only 2 voted against. All in favor of creating a mixed-species rapid response fleet? 16 hands went up. Motion carried, Council Leader Tron announced. Inspector Kale, you will oversee the formation of this new fleet. Captain Martinez. Congratulations. You are now officially appointed as Fleet Commander of Rapid Response Operations. Jake looked surprised. Fleet Commander? You'll need a bigger ship, Kyle said with a smile. 1 year later, Inspector Kyle stood on the bridge of the New Horizons, a massive mobile command station built from a derelict space station and human ingenuity. Captain Jake's fleet now included ships from 12 different species, all trained in adaptive problem-solving. Through the main window, Kale watched a rescue operation in progress. A passenger liner had suffered engine failure near a black hole. Standard procedure would be to wait for specialized rescue ships, but Jake's fleet was already in action. Human ships were extending shields around the liner, while alien crews used modified equipment to repair the engines. The rescue would take 2 hours instead of 2 days. Inspector, Jake said, walking onto the bridge. We just received 3 new requests for assistance. A mining station fire, a research vessel trapped in an asteroid field, and reports of pirate activity near the trade routes. Which one first? All of them. We have enough ships now. Kyle smiled and updated his log. His final entry read, Humans don't break rules to cause problems. They break rules to solve problems that the rules can't handle. The galaxy is safer because of them. Outside the window, stars moved past as the fleet headed toward their next impossible mission. And somewhere in space, people who would have died were now going to live, because humans had refused to accept that saving them was impossible. The deep space research ship Aurora drifted silently through the void, its sensors scanning the darkness for signs of life. Dr. Marcus Kane sat at his workstation, studying readings from a nearby star system. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he didn't notice. The data was too interesting. Computer run analysis on Sector 7 Alpha, Marcus said, pushing his dark hair back from his tired eyes. The ship's AI responded in its calm voice. Analysis complete. Detecting unusual mineral signatures on the 3rd planet. Recommend closer investigation. Marcus smiled. This was why he loved deep space research. Every day brought new discoveries. Earth's government had sent him out here to map unknown regions of space looking for resources and potential colony worlds. It was lonely work, but Marcus preferred it that way. He was about to change course when his ship's alarm started screaming. Warning. Unknown vessels approaching. Warning. Unknown vessels approaching. Marcus jumped up and ran to the main display. 3 large ships were coming toward him fast. They looked nothing like human designs, all sharp angles and dark metal, with strange symbols painted on their hulls. Computer, try to contact them, Marcus ordered, his heart racing. No response. To standard greeting protocols, the AI replied. The ships were getting closer. Marcus could see weapon ports opening along their sides. His small research vessel had no weapons, only basic shields for asteroid protection. Computer, maximum speed. Get us out of here. The Aurora turned and started to flee, but the alien ships were much faster. Within minutes, they had surrounded him. Energy beams shot out from the lead ship, hitting his shields. The lights flickered as power systems struggled. Shields at 30%, the computer announced. Marcus gripped his chair as another blast rocked the ship. He had trained for this possibility, but he had never expected it to actually happen. First contact with hostile aliens was supposed to be handled by the military, not lone researchers. The aliens fired again. This time the beams were different. Instead of trying to destroy his ship, they seemed to be draining its power. The lights went out completely. All systems offline, the computer said, its voice growing weak. Life support switching to emergency power. Marcus heard strange sounds coming from outside his ship, metal scraping against metal. They were boarding him. He ran to his emergency locker and pulled out a plasma pistol and a knife. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. Marcus had served in Earth's military before becoming a scientist. He knew how to fight. The airlock door exploded inward. Smoke filled the corridor as shapes moved through it. Marcus got his first look at the aliens who had captured him. They were tall and reptilian, with rough green scales covering their bodies. Their faces were long and narrow, with bright yellow eyes and sharp teeth. They wore black armor and carried energy weapons that hummed with power. The first alien through the door spotted Marcus and raised its weapon. Marcus was faster. His plasma bolt caught the creature in the chest, sending it crashing backward into its friends. "Human shows aggression," one of them hissed in accented English. "Interesting." More aliens poured through the breach. Marcus fought hard, using the narrow corridors of his ship to his advantage. He shot 2 more aliens and stabbed a third with his knife before they managed to corner him. One alien, larger than the others with golden markings on its armor, stepped forward. This one seemed to be their leader. "I am Captain Threx of the Vorthon Raiders," it said, studying Marcus with cold yellow eyes. "You fight well for prey." "I'm not your prey," Marcus snarled, still holding his knife. Threx laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "All species are prey to the Vorthons, but you are different. Most creatures surrender when they see us. You fought back. You killed my warriors." The other aliens raised their weapons, angry at the death of their comrades. But Threx held up a clawed hand to stop them. "No. This one is valuable. Look at him." Threx walked around Marcus like he was examining an animal. Strong muscles, quick reflexes, intelligent eyes, and from a species we have never seen before. "What do you want?" Marcus demanded. "We are slavers," Threx said simply. "We capture rare specimens and sell them to the highest bidder. Usually, we take dozens of weak creatures from peaceful worlds, but you might be worth more than all of them combined." One of the other aliens stepped forward. "Captain, it killed Vex and Gorth. We should execute it for that." Threx's eyes never left Marcus. "No, Crawl, think bigger. When did we last see a creature fight so fiercely? When did we last capture something that could kill trained Vorthan warriors with primitive weapons?" Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He was starting to understand what they were planning. "The Grand Nexus auction is in 2 cycles," Threx continued. "Collectors pay enormous sums for unique specimens. But a warrior from an unknown species? A predator that shows no fear?" The alien captain's teeth gleamed. "That would break every record in galactic history." Threx nodded to his warriors. "Sedate it, but be careful. I want it alive and healthy." Marcus tried to fight as they grabbed him, but there were too many. He felt a sharp pain in his neck as someone injected him with something. The world started to spin. "Wait," he gasped, fighting to stay conscious. "My ship, the data, will be examined," Threx said. "We want to know everything about your species and your world. The buyers will pay extra for complete information." As the drugs took effect, Marcus heard Threx giving orders to his crew. "Search everything, copy all data files. I want to know where this creature came from and if there are more like it." Marcus tried to speak, tried to warn them that Earth would come looking for him, but his tongue wouldn't work. The sedative was too strong. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was Threx standing over him, yellow eyes gleaming with greed. "Yes," the alien captain hissed. "The Grand Nexus auction will remember this day. The day we brought them the most dangerous prize in the galaxy." Marcus's world went dark as the Vorthan ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying him away from everything he had ever known. Behind them, the empty hull of the Aurora drifted in space, its emergency beacon flashing uselessly in the void. The hunt for Earth's missing scientist had begun, but Marcus didn't know it yet. All he knew was that he was now a prisoner, being taken to some alien auction house where he would be sold like a piece of property. But the Vorthans had made one critical mistake. They thought they had captured a helpless human. They had no idea what humans were truly capable of when pushed to their limits. Marcus woke up slowly, his head pounding from the alien drugs. The first thing he noticed was the cold. The second was the smell, a mix of chemicals, fear, and something he couldn't identify. He was lying on a hard metal floor inside a small cage. Energy bars hummed across the front, creating a wall of blue light. Beyond the bars, he could see a long corridor lined with similar cages. "Finally awake, are we?" Marcus turned toward the voice. In the cage next to his sat an old alien with wrinkled gray skin and kind eyes. The creature was small and thin, wearing torn robes that might have once been expensive. "Where am I?" Marcus asked, sitting up slowly. "Keith Prime Station," the old alien replied. "Welcome to the most famous auction house in the galaxy. My name is Cole. I used to be a trader before I ended up here." Marcus looked around more carefully. The corridor stretched far in both directions, filled with cages holding dozens of different alien species. Some looked peaceful, others dangerous. All looked scared. "How long was I unconscious?" 3 days, Cole said. "The Vorthans who brought you have been very busy. They've been talking to everyone, spreading word about their special prize." "Special prize?" Cole's eyes twinkled. "You, my friend. They're calling you the apex predator from a death world. Half the station is talking about the human who killed 3 Vorthon warriors with primitive weapons." Marcus felt a chill. "Death world?" "Oh yes." Cole nodded. "They analyze data from your ship. According to them, your planet is one of the most dangerous worlds they've ever heard of. High gravity, extreme weather, poisonous atmosphere, and predators everywhere." Marcus almost laughed. Earth seemed normal to him, but he supposed it might look frightening to aliens from safer worlds. "What kind of auction is this?" Marcus asked. Cole's expression grew serious. "The Grand Nexus auction happens once every solar cycle. Buyers come from across the galaxy. Crime lords, collectors, governments, anyone with enough credits. They buy rare specimens, unique technology, exotic materials. And people," Marcus said bitterly. "Unfortunately, yes. Though usually not people like you. Most slaves here are from peaceful species. But you..." Cole shook his head. "I've been coming to these auctions for 50 years, as a buyer and now as merchandise. I've never seen so much interest in a single item." Over the next few hours, Marcus learned more about his situation. Guards walked past regularly, different alien species working for the auction house. They all stared at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The other prisoners told him stories they had heard from the guards. 3 major bidders were already preparing for his auction. "The Galactic Hegemony wants you for their military," whispered a bird-like alien from across the corridor. "They think one human could train their soldiers to be better fighters." A slug-like creature added, "Crime boss Vila Rex wants you for her gladiator rings. She's never had a fighter from a death world before." "And Lord Thane," Cole said quietly. "Nobody knows what he wants. He's a mystery collector. Buys the strangest items and then they disappear forever." Marcus spent his time carefully studying the station's layout. Every time guards passed, he memorized their routines. When maintenance workers came to clean, he watched how they accessed different systems. The energy bars on his cage were controlled by a panel near the ceiling. The lock was electronic, but Marcus had noticed that during feeding time they temporarily reduced the power to slide food through a small opening. "What are you planning?" Cole asked, watching Marcus examine the ceiling. "Nothing yet," Marcus replied. "Just learning." But that wasn't entirely true. Marcus's military training was kicking in. He was already thinking of escape routes, weapon possibilities, and ways to help the other prisoners. On his second day in the cage, something interesting happened. A maintenance worker came to repair a broken light in the corridor. The alien was small and nervous, constantly looking over his shoulder. When the worker passed Marcus's cage, he dropped his tools. As he bent to pick them up, he whispered quickly, "Not all of us agree with slavery. Some of us are watching. Be ready." The worker left before Marcus could respond, but the message was clear. He had potential allies on the station. That evening, Marcus used his knowledge of electronics to make something useful. He had torn small pieces of metal from his cage and combined them with threads from his clothing. Working in the dark while the guards were away, he created a simple communication device. "Impressive," Cole said, watching Marcus work. "Most species would just sit and wait for rescue." "Humans don't wait," Marcus replied. "We make our own opportunities." The device was crude, but it worked. Marcus managed to tap into the station's communication system and listen to conversations between guards and auction officials. What he heard made his blood run cold. The bidding will start at 5 million credits, one official was saying. But we expect it to go much higher. The hegemony has authorized up to 20 million. Vila Rex claims she'll pay 30 million. What about Lord Thane? Another voice asked. He hasn't set a limit. His representative just said, whatever it takes. Marcus shared this information with the other prisoners. Many of them had been captured from peaceful worlds and had never heard of such high prices. 5 million credits could buy a small starship. One prisoner whispered. 30 million could buy an entire moon, added another. But Marcus wasn't thinking about the money. He was thinking about what it meant. If these aliens were willing to pay such enormous sums for one human, what would they do when they learned about Earth's billions of people? On his third day, guards came to prepare him for the auction. They gave him new clothes, simple but clean, and checked his health with medical scanners. Perfect specimen, one guard noted. Strong vital signs, excellent reflexes, high intelligence, readings. Captain Threx appeared, looking pleased with himself. Tomorrow is the big day, human. You're going to make me very rich. What happens to the others? Marcus asked, nodding toward his fellow prisoners. Threx shrugged. They get sold too, but for much less. You're the star of this auction. After Threx left, Marcus spent the night, talking quietly with Cole and the other prisoners. He shared what he knew about human technology and culture, though he was careful not to reveal too much. Your species sounds remarkable, Cole said. I hope whoever buys you treats you well. Marcus looked at the old trader with determination in his eyes. Nobody's buying me, Cole. Humans aren't property, we're free beings, and we stay free. As dawn approached on Keth Prime Station, Marcus prepared for the biggest challenge of his life. The auction that would supposedly sell him to the highest bidder. But Marcus had other plans. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you tried to cage a human. The auction day arrived with noise and excitement throughout Keth Prime Station. Marcus could hear the sounds of crowds gathering, alien voices speaking in dozens of different languages, and the hum of expensive transports docking at the station. Big, day-to-day, Cole said from his cage. I've never seen so many buyers for a single auction. Marcus was checking his makeshift communication device when guards arrived to take him away. They wore ceremonial armor instead of their usual uniforms, showing how important this auction was considered. Time to go, Death World Predator, the lead guard said with a nervous laugh. Your audience awaits. They placed special restraints on Marcus, metal cuffs that hummed with energy. When he tested them, a small shock ran through his arms. Don't try anything stupid, the guard warned. Those cuffs can deliver enough electricity to kill most species. Marcus said nothing, but he noticed the guard seemed more afraid than confident. Word of his reputation had spread throughout the station. They led him through corridors he had never seen before. The walls here were decorated with expensive artwork and rare crystals. This was the wealthy section of Keth Prime, where serious buyers stayed during auctions. The auction hall was massive. Hundreds of seats filled the space, arranged in a circle around a raised platform. Each seat had a small control panel for placing bids. Large screens showed close-up views of whatever was being sold. Marcus could see the buyers as he was led to a holding area behind the stage. Most were aliens he didn't recognize. Some humanoid, others completely strange. But they all had one thing in common. They looked wealthy and powerful. In the front row, he spotted 3 figures who had to be his main bidders. The first was a tall alien in military uniform, with blue skin and silver eyes. Medals covered his chest, and 2 armed guards stood behind him. This had to be the hegemony representative. The second was a large female alien with purple skin and expensive jewelry. Her clothes were flashy, and her smile was cruel. Vila Rex, the crime boss who wanted a gladiator. The third figure was harder to see, sitting in shadows despite the bright lights. All Marcus could make out was a slim form in a dark hooded robe. Lord Thane, the mysterious collector. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored beings, the auctioneer announced, his voice booming through the hall. Welcome to the Grand Nexus auction. Today we have items that will amaze and astound you. The auction began with smaller items. Marcus watched from backstage as rare crystals, ancient artifacts, and exotic technologies were sold for thousands. of credits. The buyers bid casually like they were shopping for groceries. Then came the other prisoners. Marcus felt sick watching his friends being sold like property. Coal went for 12,000 credits to a mining company. The bird-like alien was bought by a zoo for 8,000. And now, the auctioneer's voice grew excited. Our final item, the prize that has brought record numbers of bidders to Keth Prime Station. Guards pushed Marcus onto the stage. The lights were blindingly bright, and he could hear hundreds of beings gasp when they saw him. Behold, the auctioneer continued, a member of a previously unknown species from the planet they call Earth. But this is no ordinary world, honored buyers. Observe. The large screens lit up with images from Marcus's ship data. Earth appeared, looking blue and beautiful, but the auctioneer's commentary made it sound terrifying. A death world of unimaginable danger, the voice boomed. Gravity twice that of most civilized planets, atmospheric pressure that would crush delicate species, extreme weather patterns including frozen storms and boiling deserts. More images appeared, hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes. The audience murmured in amazement and fear. But that's not all. This world breeds predators at every level. From microscopic organisms that cause disease to massive creatures that hunt in packs. And at the top of this food chain, humans. Video. Footage played on the screens, Marcus fighting the Vorthan raiders. The audience watched him kill 3 armed aliens with just a plasma pistol and a knife. The room erupted in excited chatter. This specimen killed experienced Vorthan warriors, the auctioneer announced. Warriors who have conquered dozens of worlds, yet this human defeated them with primitive weapons and tactical thinking. Marcus stood straight on the platform, refusing to show fear. He stared directly at the 3 main bidders, letting them see the intelligence in his eyes. Bidding will start at 5 million credits, the auctioneer declared. The hegemony representative immediately pressed his button. 5 million. Vila Rex smiled and bid 6 million. Then 7. Then 8. Lord Thane remained still in the shadows, not bidding yet. The price climbed quickly. 10 million, 15 million, 20 million. Each bid brought gasps from the smaller buyers, who had never seen such amounts. At 25 million, only the 3 main bidders remained. The hegemony representative was sweating blue liquid. Vila Rex's smile had become strained. 30 million, Vila Rex announced loudly. The hegemony representative hesitated, then shook his head and sat back. He was out. 35 million, came a quiet voice from the shadows. Lord Thane had finally entered the bidding. Vila Rex's eyes widened. 40 million. 45 million, Lord Thane replied calmly. The crime boss looked angry now. She whispered to an assistant, who nodded rapidly. 50 million credits, Vila Rex declared. The auction hall fell completely silent. 50 million credits was more money than most species earned in a lifetime. It was enough to buy entire star systems. Everyone looked toward Lord Thane. The mysterious figure sat quietly for a long moment. Then came the voice from the shadows, calm and certain. 100 million credits. The hall erupted in chaos. Beings jumped to their feet, shouting in amazement. The auctioneer had to call for order repeatedly. Vila Rex stared in shock. Her face went through several colors before she slumped back in her seat, defeated. Going once, the auctioneer called. Going twice. No one else could possibly match such a bid. Sold to Lord Thane for 100 million credits. A new galactic record. The crowd cheered and applauded. Marcus had just become the most expensive single item ever sold at auction. News of the sale would spread across the galaxy within hours. As guards moved to escort Marcus away, he caught a glimpse of Lord Thane standing up. For just a moment, the hood fell back and Marcus saw something that made his heart stop. The mysterious collector wasn't an alien at all. Lord Thane was human. A woman with dark hair and intelligent eyes looked directly at Marcus and gave him the slightest nod before pulling her hood back up. As Marcus was led away from the cheering crowd, his mind raced. Who was she? How had she gotten here? And why had she just spent 100 million credits to buy him? One thing was certain. His situation had just become much more complicated. Behind them, The auction hall buzzed with excitement. No one would forget the day a single human had sold for more money than anyone thought possible, but they had no idea that this was just the beginning. Marcus was escorted to a luxury transport ship docked at Keth Prime's VIP section. The vessel was unlike anything he had ever seen. Sleek black metal with smooth curves and no visible weapons. It looked expensive and mysterious, just like its owner. The guards removed his restraints once they were inside the ship. Marcus rubbed his wrists, feeling the blood flow return to his hands. The interior was decorated with art and furniture from dozens of different worlds. Whoever Lord Thane was, they had excellent taste and unlimited money. "This way, please," said a guard who looked more like a butler than a warrior. "Lord Thane is waiting in the main cabin." Marcus followed the butler through corridors lined with rare books and strange artifacts. He was still trying to process what he had seen at the auction. A human woman had somehow infiltrated galactic society and become wealthy enough to spend 100 million credits. The main cabin was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the stars outside. Comfortable chairs surrounded a large table covered with documents and data pads. And there, removing her dark hood, was the woman who had bought him. She was tall and elegant, with short black hair and sharp green eyes. Her age was hard to guess. She could have been 30 or 50. She wore simple but expensive clothes that looked both human and alien at the same time. "Dr. Marcus Kane," she said with a slight smile. "Please sit down. We have a lot to discuss." Marcus remained standing. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" "My name is Elena Cross. I'm a diplomat and intelligence officer for the Earth government, and I've been waiting a long time to meet you." Marcus stared at her. "That's impossible. Earth doesn't have contact with alien civilizations. We're not even sure they exist." Elena laughed softly. "That's what most people on Earth believe, but it's not true. We've known about galactic civilization for over 20 years. She gestured to the chairs again. "Please sit. This will take some time to explain." Marcus slowly sat down, his mind spinning with questions. Elena poured 2 cups of what looked like coffee from a pot on the table. "Real Earth coffee," she said, noting his surprised expression. "I have it imported through very discreet channels." The coffee was perfect, exactly how Marcus liked it. That small taste of home made everything feel even more surreal. "In 2005, Elena began, our deep space probes detected signs of advanced civilization. Radio signals, energy signatures, ships moving between star systems. We realized we weren't alone in the universe." Marcus listened carefully as Elena told her story. The Earth government formed a secret department to study galactic civilization and prepare for eventual contact. We learned alien languages, studied their technology, and began sending people out into space. "People like you," Marcus said. Elena nodded. "I was one of the first. We used stolen alien technology to modify our appearances and infiltrate different societies. I've been living in the galaxy for 15 years, building the identity of Lord Thane." Marcus looked around the luxury cabin. "You've done well for yourself." "Intelligence work pays well when you're good at it," Elena said with a smile. "I've been gathering information about galactic politics, military capabilities, trade routes, and technology. Everything Earth will need when we make official contact." "Why haven't we made contact already?" Elena's expression grew serious. "Because we learned something important about galactic civilization. They don't respect weak species. Planets that make contact from a position of weakness often end up as colonies or slave worlds." Marcus thought about the auction, about watching sentient beings sold like property. Like what almost happened to me. Exactly. When your ship was captured, it created a problem and an opportunity. The problem was that your capture would eventually lead the aliens to Earth. But the opportunity, Elena smiled. The opportunity was to show the galaxy what humans are really capable of. She activated a holographic display above the table. It showed news reports from across the galaxy, all talking about the record-breaking auction. "Death. World Predator sells for historic price," Elena read from one headline. Unknown species proves most dangerous in galaxy, says another. Your auction has made humans famous throughout known space. Marcus watched the news reports with growing amazement. Aliens across the galaxy were talking about humans, speculating about Earth, and wondering what other dangerous creatures might come from their world. But there's more, Elena continued. She activated another display, this one showing star charts. We're not alone out here, Marcus. There are 12 other humans working throughout the galaxy in various roles. The chart showed positions of human agents on different worlds and space stations. Some were traders, others were mercenaries, a few were even working for alien governments. Agent Walker is a military advisor to the Centauri Republic. Agent Brown runs a successful trading company in the Outer Rim. Agent Johnson is a gladiator, champion on 3 different worlds. Marcus stared at the chart. How long have you been planning this? 20 years of preparation, Elena said. We've been slowly building a network, gathering intelligence, and waiting for the right moment to reveal ourselves. And my capture provided that moment? Elena nodded. Your auction has given us something we could never have created ourselves: fear and respect. Half the galaxy now believes humans are unstoppable warriors from a nightmare world. The other half is curious about these mysterious newcomers. She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Fear and curiosity are much better than pity or contempt. When Earth makes official contact, it will be as equals, not as primitives begging for acceptance. Marcus joined her at the window. What happens now? Now we use the attention your auction created. Tomorrow we send a message to the entire galaxy. We reveal Earth's location, but we also reveal Earth's strength. Elena activated another display, this one showing images of Earth's cities, spaceships, and military forces. Marcus was amazed to see technology he had never known existed. We've been busy while our agents gathered intelligence, Elena explained. Earth has developed faster than light travel, energy weapons, and defensive systems. We're not the primitive world the galaxy thinks we are. Marcus looked at the images of Earth's secret space fleet. How did you keep this hidden? Very carefully. The public knows about space exploration and research, but not about military preparation or alien contact. That will change soon. Elena turned back to Marcus. Your escape from captivity wasn't an accident, Dr. Kane. It was the opening move in Earth's introduction to galactic politics. Marcus realized the full scope of what he was hearing. You're starting a war? No, Elena said firmly. We're preventing one. By showing strength instead of weakness, we're ensuring that Earth will be respected rather than conquered. As the ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying them toward their next destination, Marcus understood that his capture had been just the beginning. The galaxy had bought what they thought was a single dangerous human. They were about to discover they had awakened an entire dangerous species. Elena's ship arrived at a hidden station in the outer reaches of space. Marcus had never seen anything like it. A massive facility built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, completely invisible to normal sensors. Welcome to Station Alpha, Elena said as they docked. Earth's first deep space outpost. The station was bustling with activity. Marcus saw dozens of humans working alongside advanced computers and communication equipment. Some wore military uniforms he didn't recognize. Others looked like scientists and engineers. How many people know about this? Marcus asked as they walked through busy corridors. About 3,000 Earth citizens are involved in the deep space program, Elena replied. Military personnel, scientists, intelligence officers, and support staff. Everyone has been carefully selected and sworn to secrecy. They entered a large command center with massive screens showing star maps, alien news feeds, and Earth monitoring systems. At the center sat a communication array that could reach every corner of the galaxy. Commander Cross, a young officer, approached them. All systems are ready. We're receiving confirmation from our agents throughout the galaxy. Elena nodded. Excellent. Marcus, I'd like you to meet Captain David Miller, our communications chief. Marcus shook hands with the captain. How long have you been out here? 5 years, Miller replied. Best assignment I've ever had. We're making history every day. Elena led Marcus to the main control station. Marcus, your auction yesterday has created exactly the situation we needed. Every major government news organization and military force in the galaxy is talking about humans. She activated the main screen, showing news reports from dozens of different worlds. The headlines were impressive. Death World species breaks auction records. Military experts study human combat footage. Traders rush to locate human homeworld. Some species are afraid of us, Elena continued. Others are curious. A few are already trying to find Earth to establish trade relationships. This is our moment. Marcus watched the alien news reports with fascination. What exactly are we going to tell them? Elena smiled. The truth, but presented in a way that ensures Earth's safety and independence. She gestured to Captain Miller, who began activating the communication systems. Screens around the command center lit up with technical data and transmission frequencies. We're going to broadcast simultaneously to every major communication network in the galaxy, Elena explained. News stations, government channels, military frequencies, even entertainment networks. Everyone will hear our message at the same time. Marcus felt nervous excitement building in his chest. This was the moment when Earth would announce itself to the galaxy. Marcus, Elena said, turning to him, I want you to deliver part of the message. The galaxy needs to see that you're not just a captured specimen, but a representative of your species. What should I say? Elena handed him a data pad with prepared remarks. Read through this, but speak in your own words. Let them see the intelligence and strength that made you so valuable at auction. Marcus studied the notes while Elena and her team made final preparations. Around the command center, technicians checked equipment and monitored alien communication networks. All stations report ready, Captain Miller announced. We have clear channels to over 10,000 worlds and space stations. Elena took her position in front of the main camera. She had changed into a formal military uniform with Earth insignia. Marcus stood beside her, wearing clean civilian clothes that had been provided by the station. Begin transmission, Elena ordered. The camera activated, and Marcus knew they were now broadcasting to billions of alien beings across the galaxy. Citizens of the galactic community, Elena began, her voice clear and confident. I am Commander Elena Cross of the Earth Defense Force. Yesterday, you witnessed the auction of what you believed was a captured specimen from an unknown world. She paused, letting the significance of her words sink in across the galaxy. That specimen was Dr. Marcus Kane, a respected scientist and citizen of Earth. He was not a primitive creature to be bought and sold. He is a representative of humanity, a species that has been watching your civilization for over 20 years. The screens around the command center showed alien news anchors scrambling to process this information. Some looked shocked, others excited. A few appeared frightened. Elena continued. Earth has been preparing for contact with galactic civilization. We have studied your languages, your cultures, your technologies, and your politics. We come to you not as supplicants seeking guidance, but as equals ready to take our place among the stars. Now it was Marcus's turn. He stepped forward, looking directly into the camera. My name is Marcus Kane, he said firmly. I was captured while conducting peaceful research, but I was never broken. Humans do not surrender. We do not accept slavery. We protect ourselves and our friends. Behind them, the screens showed images of Earth, not the death world portrayed at the auction, but a beautiful planet with thriving cities and advanced technology. Earth is home to 7 billion humans, Marcus continued. We have developed faster-than-light travel, advanced manufacturing, and defensive capabilities. We offer friendship to those who respect us, and we promise swift consequences to those who threaten us. Elena stepped forward again. As of today, Earth claims its rightful place in galactic civilization. We demand full recognition as a sovereign species with all associated rights and protections. The images behind them changed to show Earth's space fleet, dozens of sleek warships armed with advanced weapons. Marcus was amazed to see technology that rivaled anything the Vorthans or other species possessed. To those who would be our friends, Elena said, we offer trade, knowledge, and cooperation. To those who would be our enemies, we offer this warning. Humanity has never lost a war when our survival was at stake. The broadcast showed footage of human agents throughout the galaxy, the traitors, advisors, and warriors who had been secretly working for years. The message was clear. Humans were already established throughout galactic civilization. This concludes our first official communication, Elena said. Earth will establish diplomatic relations with any government that recognizes our sovereignty. Trade negotiations will begin immediately with interested parties. Marcus stepped forward for the final words. The galaxy has underestimated humanity for the last time. We are not specimens to be collected or slaves to be sold. We are humans, and we are free. The transmission ended, but the command center remained busy as reports poured in from across the galaxy. Alien governments were calling emergency sessions. Military forces were reassessing their capabilities. Trade organizations were calculating the economic impact of a new spacefaring species. How do you think they'll respond? Marcus asked Elena. Elena watched the flood of incoming messages with satisfaction. Some will be angry that we deceived them. Others will be impressed by our planning. Most will realize they need to take us seriously. Captain Miller called out, Commander, we're receiving official diplomatic requests from over 50 governments. The Centauri Republic wants to establish trade relations immediately. What about the hostile responses? Marcus asked. 3 minor warlords have made threats, Miller reported, but the major powers are all requesting peaceful contact. Elena nodded with satisfaction. Exactly as we predicted. Fear breeds respect, and respect leads to negotiation rather than conquest. Marcus looked out at the stars, knowing that Earth would never be the same. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not as victims, but as a force to be reckoned with. The auction that was supposed to sell one dangerous human had instead introduced a dangerous human civilization to the galaxy, and the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.